The Conservative Political Action Conference, known as CPAC, is on in Sydney this weekend. It's hosting Conservative speakers and current and former elected officials from Australia, the UK and the US. Our reporter Kenny Heatley is there at the International Convention Centre. And Kenny, what can we expect?
And Sam, one of the keynote speakers that are going to be speaking this afternoon at CPAC is former British politician and Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage, who joins me live now. Mr Farage, thanks so much for your time.
Good to be here. And you know what, I tell you what, this is needed. CPAC Australia is needed. I've been here for a week now. I've been in Canberra, I've been in Melbourne, I've been in Brisbane, I've been in Sydney. And everywhere I go, I meet Australian Conservatives who are virtually in despair. So I think this conference is well timed.
And this is, as you say, not your first CPAC. It tends to draw the attention of protesters and activists who come out. What is it about Conservatives gathering at a conference like this and Conservatives giving speeches that tends to rile people up so much?
Well, remember that the new left, the old left understood that grown-ups can have different points of view and that actually in a free society, that's how democracy works. The new left think they're superior beings, that they have a higher moral purpose than Conservatives, and effectively they want them closed down, shut down and cancelled. And that's why we see protests as we're going to today.
Well, just like you say, you haven't had the best of welcomes to Sydney. You've had threats of your events being shut down by police and things like that. In your opinion, do we have a problem with free speech in this country?
Well, I was astonished that an event I was doing on Tuesday night this week, that the New South Wales Police demanded a ransom of 3,000 Aussie dollars for the meeting to go ahead. And it was a private meeting, ticketed on a private premises, and the police in New South Wales threatened to stop me from speaking. Now, I think free speech should be free. To have to pay the police, this would not happen back in the UK. If it did, it'd be front page of every paper. But you see, this is what happens. We lose our freedoms little piece by little piece, incrementally, not realising just how big the state has got. And with respect to Australia, I would say the way this country and the way the state's handled lockdown should say to you that perhaps centralised state power over your lives has gone way too far.
Can I ask you a question about what's happening back in the UK? New Prime Minister Liz Truss, who is a Conservative Prime Minister, has been widely criticised over the past week for her handling of the economy with her mini-budget that she presented, which gives tax breaks to the wealthy when interest rates are rising. How do you think she's going?
She gave tax breaks to everybody. That's the first point to make. And the second point to make is the reason there is global condemnation. And it's coming from the IMF, the OECD, the European Central Bank, the Biden administration, is the globalists do not want tax cuts of any kind. They want taxes to go up and the size of a state to increase. And this idea that it's the tax cuts that have led to the pound going in freefall, no, it's not. It's the energy package, which is 3 times the size. So, she's had a very, very tough start. I think the implementation of the tax package, the way it's been sold, is amateur in the extreme. But for the first time in 35 years, I've actually seen a Conservative government trying to help people get on and succeed. With free market economics, all I can say is, good, she's being brave.
There was a Brexit poll that came out in July in Great Britain that said 52% of people thought it was the wrong decision to leave the European Union, and 36% said it was the right decision, and that gap seems to be widening. So there seems to be some who voted leave now regret their decision. What do you think about that, and do you have any regrets?
Oh, no regrets. No regret. Well, do I regret that we become a self-governing democracy, not controlled by foreign bureaucrats we couldn't vote for and couldn't remove? No, absolutely not. What I am seeing is a narrative being pushed by the BBC and others, blaming every one of our economic ills on Brexit, and that has got into the minds of some people. But remember this, the most difficult thing in politics, the most difficult thing in life, is to overturn a status quo. And the day we left the European Union, the status quo flipped. We're not going to be rejoining. It ain't going to happen. And have a look around Europe. Look at the new Italian Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, very strident. Look at Sweden. Social Democrat since 1945 until 3 weeks ago, and now there's a Conservative coalition. So the days of the European Union are numbered. But the one thing about Brexit to remember is when you've got the right to manage your own country, it also gives you the right to mismanage your own country. Brexit doesn't guarantee success, but what it does mean is we're in charge.
How long are you in Australia for?
9 days this trip, so it's a great trip, and I've been travelling around. And as I say, I just meet Conservatives everywhere in despair. They don't think that the Conservative movement in this country has strong enough leadership. And if the National Liberal Party go down this road of being Labour light, go down this road of trying to win back the teal voters, they'll lose the next election, in my opinion, even more heavily.
Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your time in Australia. Nigel Farage, thank you so much for joining us. Sam reporting live from the CPAC 2022 conference. Back to you.